In this episode of Life Pulse, we are focusing on the state of weight, and in particular, all of the weight loss medication out there that is changing lives. Joining me right now is Dr. Ronnie Whitfield, aka the hip hop doc, social media sensation. I love saying that. To share with us his medical expertise on this very, very timely topic. I mean, look, if you don't know someone on one of these prescription weight loss drugs, you've certainly seen the commercials.
That's right.
Tell me, first of all, what are the top weight loss drugs right now that people are taking and seeing results with?
There's nothing out there, by the way, for our listeners that actually burns or cuts fat. All these things either prevent fat absorption or they suppress appetite. And then now there's the GLP-1s, glucagon-like peptide 1, which is produced in the stomach. When we eat, these hormones or peptides are normally produced and they suppress appetite. Well, now we've created a way to inject this into your body, and it lasts for 1 week. And they have become very, very popular. These were initially drugs designed to treat diabetes with the side effect of appetite suppression. And so when you're seeing somebody losing 15 to 20% of their body weight in over a year, that can truly impact their diabetes. And actually, it's the closest thing to bariatric surgery that we've ever seen.
So as a medical doctor, are you encouraged by these medical weight loss drugs?
Right.
And are they suitable for certain patients, but do you have concerns at the consumer level?
So for the young lady whose BMI, which is body mass index, and I'll define it in a minute, is 25, and she's got a wedding in a couple weeks and wants to go on semaglutide to lose 7 to 8 pounds, not excited about that at all. But for my morbidly obese patient living with obesity that's got a BMI of 40, with hypertension and diabetes, these drugs have been life-saving.
I think a lot of people want to know, is this drug a temporary fix? In other words, once you quit taking the shot, does the hunger come back and the weight gain return?
70% of patients who stop taking the drug will regain the majority of their weight back. But what you're hoping, when I'm talking, this is an individualized treatment plan. When I'm talking to my patients, is that you are motivated to lose weight. We're going to talk about behavioral modifications, lifestyle changes, not just taking this drug. One of the fears of taking drugs like semaglutide is muscle wasting. So some people will lose 10% of their body fat, but they also lose 10% of their protein or muscle mass, and so they're still not very healthy. By definition, they're still considered fat. They may be thinner, but they're not healthier. And so you have to individualize the treatment, just like with bariatric surgery. You just don't go to the doctor and say, I need weight loss, and he does surgery.
The drug has now become available at the consumer level as a compounded version.
Right.
There have been some concerns about regulation of these compounding pharmacies. The drug is available at medical spas and walk-in clinics. And, you know, do you as a doctor have some concerns about the availability of this compounded version of these weight loss drugs?
That came about, there was a shortage of the prescription drug at some point. And so the FDA allowed compound pharmacies to make the drug. And so when you have legitimate compound pharmacies that know what they're doing, I have a cake recipe. I give you that cake recipe, you can make that same cake recipe. They were allowed to do it. When the shortage was over, compound pharmacies were supposed to stop making it, but the Board of Pharmacies find it very, very hard to regulate and control it. So some of these weight loss clinics, walk-in clinics, are getting medicines from out of the state. They don't know actually what they're getting, so there could be contamination in the product. So there's definitely some concern there. Don't get me wrong, there's some legitimate compound pharmacies definitely right here in the state of Louisiana. But again, some of these clinics are not following the rules and the standards, and there is some risk when patients visit these places, especially not without consultation with their physician.
What can consumers do to protect themselves if they're interested in taking this drug?
First, let's talk about this BMI, the definition of obesity. Normal weight of BMI, which is just taking your height and weight. If your BMI is 18 to 24, 19 to 24, you consider normal weight. Anything greater than 30 is obese. Anything greater than 40 is severely obese. So when somebody comes into my office for these medications, I'm looking at their BMI, but also their other comorbid illnesses. If they have hypertension, diabetes, had a heart attack or stroke before. If your BMI is 27 or less and you have hypertension and diabetes, you may actually qualify for that drug, in my opinion. But this is all individualized.
And we also should point out, at the consumer level, if you walk into one of these clinics, you know, you're not getting the same powerful dosage that a diabetic patient is getting with the prescription.
you don't actually know what you're getting. And so you need to be very, very careful, do your research, make sure you research those clinics before you go into them. There are some great legitimate clinics out there doing it the right way, but there are some that are not. So at least you know when I prescribe that pen and you go to the pharmacy and pick it up, you're getting what I prescribe you. And you're supposed to titrate these drugs either, and by definition, monthly you increase until a patient reaches maximum benefit. But again, that's also individualized as well.
Any concerns about long-term effects of these weight loss drugs?
It's a relatively new drug, so it's being researched, just like the other 70 plus anti-obesity drugs that are currently being researched. Ozempic / Wegovy, there's the same semaglutide, promises 15% of body weight loss in a year. Tirzepatide or Mounjaro, I think 20%, and then there's one coming out, I think pretty soon, called Triple G, that's 30% weight loss. We shall see, but I think we will soon probably have an affordable pill formulation. There's actually a pill formulation of one of the semaglutides called Rybelsus, but it doesn't seem to cause as much weight loss as the injectables. But it does the same thing. It mimics satiety, makes you feel full for about a week, and people tend to lose weight on it.
Dr. Ronnie, final thoughts on the state of weight in Louisiana?
All I can say is that in 1970, 15% of our country was overweight or obese, and now we're at 42%. Louisiana, I think, is somewhere close to 47%. This is a serious health issue. It's a public health crisis. It's a growing population of people in our country that we don't want to see. And so we have to get serious about our health, and I recommend everyone to see their physicians and talk to them about options for weight loss.
All right. Dr. Ronnie Whitfield, thank you so much for joining us on this edition of Life Pulse, the State of Weight. Some valuable information.
Thank you.